now do some analysis of what exactly the ministry will do. And to help us do this analysis, I have in studio with me Kamal Dean Abdullahi, who's the MPP National Nasara Coordinator. Thank you so much for your time, Kamal.
Thank you so much.
And welcome to Midday Live.
Thank you.
Now, to start off, what exactly do we mean when we say a Zongo?
Clearly, I think that once again, a very good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to the listeners out there. A Zongo, originally emanating from a word in the Hausa, language, where basically it was like a Zango. However, it was used to describe a particular settlement of those Hausa traders who had visited, come to Ghana to trade, and then choose for themselves a particular community or a particular place to settle down. Okay. Now, having settled down, they refer to those areas as Zongo. So originally speaking, it had to do with traders from, say, the other neighboring countries, like Mali, like Nigeria, and other places, who came into Ghana and settled. If you go a bit into history, you realize that the Zongo, for instance, started from somewhere Salaga, in the northern region, where these Hausa traders came to buy some sort of salt and some sort of, things that they needed. So from Salaga, it moves down to spread around the country, to Kumasi, to other areas and all that. You agree with me that if you take Kumasi in perspective, or Ashanti region perspective, you have a very large Zongo in that area. These were settlers who came to settle there and refer to themselves as the people of the Zongos. So if you ask what the Zongo stands for, it is indeed a settler community where we had foreigners or hitherto foreigners who had moved into the country. Now, of course, we can't call them foreigners. Absolutely. We have now become like citizens. We are all citizens of this country. Yeah. But even our constitution today, if we are born here, maybe for 7 good years you are here, nobody knows your parents and all that, you are deemed to be a Ghanaian. And if you were born here for some time ago, by birth, by reason of the fact that you are born here, you become a citizen of this country. So if maybe that explanation would be apt. Okay,
but they start there, initially they're non-Ghanaians.
Initially, of course, initially they're non-Ghanaians. Initially, no, non-Ghanaians.
Okay, now can you tell us how many Zongos we have in Ghana currently?
Oh, clearly, I think the major Zongos we have in Ghana now is running to about 365 Zongos. Major Zongos, and I'm choosing my words well. When we say major Zongos, you look at the size of the area that we call a Zongo in a particular town. Now, if it's so big, so huge, the population also is considered. Now, if you're looking at the major Zongos in all the 10 regions, of course, you will not count less than 365 Zongos. However, various regions also have dotted Zongo communities around them. Let me take Eastern region in perspective. Eastern region, for instance, you are going to talk about over 200 communities which could be referred to as Zongo communities. That is quite huge.
Okay. Now, let's put your thoughts on hold for a second. We are now joined by Evans Inkum, who's joining us from the Zongo community in Kumasi. Evans, go ahead.
One of the Zongo communities in the Kumasi metropolis, and for that matter, Ashanti region. But if you go to the Zongo communities, what prevails there, I'm talking about the conditions or the challenges, is not different from any other Zongo community that you visit. If you come to the Moshi Zongo where we find ourselves here, poor infrastructure, lack of social amenities, water are all some of the challenges that you find here. We will be speaking to some of the people here to tell us what they make of the newly created inner city and Zongo development ministry. What they expect of this particular ministry. So I'm starting now. I'm talking to the gentleman. A very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Sese, you were a home ministry for Zongo development. Then I will say ministry for the development of your community.
Rade Nyankopon say ode Nana Akufo-Addo abekansa na de toso say say Moshizongo ye face niema problems bebre mo ankasa mo ba mo hu ensuo ne kwan enye na say Nana Addo bae no de hame ye ko tafo Zongo hene ho wode asem eto Nana Addo anim say Zongo development fund our yes or better no. It was so high because a yard part by a yɛanhwɛ yie so a ɛbɛkreti problem a ma yɛ zongofoɔ no because wohwɛ moshi zongo ha sei a ɛm sɛ ahemfo bebree ɛna wɔ ha sei yɛnni asase yɛnni bibia
nti deɛ ɔbɛsɛ ɔka nyina ne sɛ ɔsika ne ba a ɔmo ɛmfa nyɛ deɛ wɔsɔm de yɛ all right thanks so much well let me speak to another Alaji eti yɛ short ɛdeɛ na wɔ expect sɛ ministry bɛyɛ ama mo
minister de sɛ wɔyɛ zongo ni tieni asɛm bia ka wɔn problem ɛ face zongo to obetuma solve program on it yɛ da sɛ wɔyɛ zongo ni preko tieni
all right let me speak to another Alaji good morning good afternoon to you
afternoon
eti deɛ na wɔ expect sɛ ministry ɛbɛyɛ ama ɛyɛ zongo community no
okay deɛ de kan yɛ bɛda otumfo yɛ kɔmpa sɛ wama de pache na yɛ tim kom wɔ ho de na new government daba yɛsrɛ otumfo yɛ kɔmpa sɛ ɔbɛma na nkwa ne ahode ne mpanifoɔ na kreti na wa kreti a pɛsɛ ɔyɛ zongo ministry no yɛ kɔmpa ma na nkwa no ma na ahode na wɔno saa minister no ɔba no so wɔno so wɔntumi ɛnyɛ dɛ ɛnkyini na wɔhwɛ dongo deɛ adeɛ ehia yɛ wohwɛ yɛ mpato mu ɛte no krampo no a ɛɛden ama yɛ nkwada pii krampo ɛwɔ fie krampo no a deɛ no ɔyɛ campaign sɛ ɔbɛyɛ free education no
etiri nyane sɛ ɔmfa school mmra zongo nyɛ saa
kumbra ɔyɛ mpontodwuma sɛ na yɛ deɛ fata na yɛ nyina yɛntumi ya ahode
all right me that say fortunately Natalie we have the MP for this particular constituency. I'm talking about Moshi Zongo. Honorable, I'm sure you heard your constituent and you are also coming from government. What do you say?
Yes, I heard them and I think they are right. I must say that it is an undefiable fact that Zongo is economically depressed. Looking at lack of infrastructure development, even they find it difficult to lay their hands in terms of getting the needed jobs. Now that we have set up a ministry, I think Nanado, having gone through almost 400 Zongos within this country, identified that Zongo communities need, special attention. Therefore, there's a need to create or give them that facelift, and it can only be manifested when we set up a ministry. And I'm very happy that now that we have assigned Honorable Boniface Abubakar, I must be honest with you that he's an epitome of selfless and honest politician I've ever come across. And I have no doubt that he will deliver to give Zongo the needed facelift.
All right. Thanks so much. So, Natalie, we have been coming to you live from Moshi Zongo, and we're going back to studios and join Natalie Fort for more on Midday Live. Over to you, Natalie.
Thank you so much, Podium Events Inkum, for that update there from the Zongo community in Kumasi. Now, let's continue. We heard some of what they were discussing, right? Their woes, the fact that employment is a problem, water is a problem. What would you say that, how different is this concept from inner cities?
Natalie, I think that we chose the inner city and the Zongo development. Basically, if we talk about the inner city, you would agree with me that within our cities, there are also some settlements or some suburbs that will need to be given some amount of facelift. Of course, if you talk about the economic hardship, that is clear. Populace of the Zongos or people living in the Zongos are critically deprived to a very large extent. It has to do with maybe the poverty that has engulfed all of us. I mean, not just that area, but I believe that when we are able to put policies in place to ensure that we reduce some amount of poverty, to ensure that these young ones who are coming out would actually get some jobs to do, of course, it will ameliorate the living standard of the people of the Zongos. Now, infrastructure development, when it comes to that particular area, don't forget that it's going to create an opportunity for jobs to be created as well. Young men who hitherto had nothing to do. If, of course, some construction is going to go on around there, some hands will be needed on board. If, of course, we are going to have some building of some clinics, sort of, and infrastructure. It's going to need some hands on deck.
So the hands you're saying is those young men in the communities?
Absolutely. Within that, I believe that in the wisdom of the president, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, and also his minister, they are going to work together to ensure that all these things are addressed within these communities. So to speak, the creation of this particular ministry could not have been now, because I mean it's just important that we have it now, and I believe that it's something that we need to uphold and also give support to, so that at least the Zongos that I say, always I say it represents almost the 11th region of this country for now.
The Zongos?
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you look at the population, voter-wise, for instance, even just voter-wise, for instance, you're talking close to 2 million voters in the Zongos nationwide. That means they contribute in ensuring that we take decisions as a country.
Okay.
Now,
So
if you have about 2 million people coming up, they can't be ignored. Again, if you look at trade, okay, today this Hausa cocoa that we drink and all that, it comes from that area. And people have even been, you know, innovative to get it packaged and all this. So if we had policies that would move towards the development of this, I believe that to create an economic strength for those areas. I believe the direction that the president has taken is a good one and is going to help all of us. The minister designate for that area too, who is supposed to work directly with the president, because according to the president, it will be under the purview of the presidency, and they would monitor to ensure that the minister succeeds to move on. That minister too is, of course, someone who is from the Zongo. Someone who, of course, has a clear relationship with the Zongos. And bear in mind, he just won an election where many think that it was going to be impossible.
Okay.
Critically speaking, people say that, look, Zongo people opt for some other parties and not MPP.
Very well. So in effect, you're saying he's the right person for the job.
Why not? We have so many of them in the party. Of course, he's one of the best that we can have. He's also been named. He caught the eye of the president, and he's been named. And I believe he's going to do a just job on that particular, in that particular ministry.
Very well. We're grateful for your time. Kamal Dean Abdullah is the MPP National Nasara Coordinator.
But to just end it, I think it's important that I put this on record. As a party, we have a wing that deals with the Zongos, the Nasara wing where I head. And of course, we said that at our Nasara conference on the 30th of January, somewhere last year, we said, look, we needed something like this. Zongo Development Camp, the flag bearer then promised it and has done it and has had a ministry. We thank him and we're grateful for that.
Very well. Okay, now